Here I am going into the second turn of spring. I'm not going to play right away because I'm just run down here from Raid. But my addiction. Let's just put it that way. I looked over the errata, which are mainly in place to balance the game better. Okay. Now, first of all, it's a whole bunch of little changes. So things like, the battering ram was one of them. Another one is the Muslim lords start with their coin instead of not having it. I'm a little disturbed by this because my feeling was, and obviously, that would give some slight advantage here and there to the early game, basically. Basically what it does is it makes the Muslims more potent in the early game. What it doesn't say is that these errata are being put into place to make the game more historical. And my feeling is that those initial settings were made to make the Muslims weak and disorganized to begin with in their response, to make the Christians powerful and capable of taking Toledo in the early couple of turns in the game. Stuff along those lines. And if that's if all it is to make sure that the victory points are aligned, I would have rather seen something that plays with these. It just says, you know what, give the Muslims 2 more of those, or give them 1 more of those. Whatever that is. That and you could easily do that with a bidding situation, right? If on the other hand, the Muslims are too disorganized, the Christians have too easy a role of getting Toledo, and we saw I took it in the first turn. I should be taking it in the second turn, right? In the second turn, I certainly would have the resources together to get that battering ram here. But here's the problem. If I move Alfonso down here, I don't get a muster. And so I may have to do all kind of weird things or just poise him here and not move him all the way in. I would have much rather, if Volko had written, we were getting ahistorical results early in the campaign, with optimal play or whatever, and we're doing this. But no, it was just rebalancing. And, the game made it through playtest with the rules that I'm playing with, right? People who probably put a lot more effort into trying to break it than I will. So I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I don't think I'm going to be too disturbed by it. What we may have seen was that there was like a 60% victory chance on the Crusaders or something. There are Crusaders here, but on the Christians. And, I know he has a real eye towards trying to make the games balanced. But the tweaks feel like they're tweaking the situation that develops, as opposed to just who can win. I don't know enough about the circumstances to be able to say. But, I could go either way. The biggest thing was I would have to mark up a whole bunch of stuff. And, this paper is okay. I think I can write on it with a pencil just fine. It's not real glossy or anything. GMT's generally good with their paper. But there were so many different little changes. I was just like, oh, fuck, I don't want to cope with this. It's just too much. And it covered multiple different scenarios and everything. And I decided, screw it. And I'd kind of come to that decision before I started playing. It's not like, I had already started playing and can't implement them now. Although when I got down here, I was like, I should have implemented them. But then I looked at them again, and I had the same feeling of, these don't feel like anything other than, like, the way it's worded and everything, it just feels like it's an attempt to balance the game. And I don't give a shit who wins the game, to be honest, And I think a less heavy-handed way, if that was the issue, would be to grant another one of these or whatever. We'll see how close it is. It could be that they're not getting accurate results out of the play, out of the early first turns. That it's often the case that Toledo falls on turn 1, and it should generally fall on turn 2. It should be a very lucky case. However, I got to tell you, that ain't easy. The chance that I was going to get Toledo on turn 1 was really, really fucking low. Get it on turn 2, I would have had to leave my lords here if I wanted the battering ram, because that's one of the things that gets taken out. I wanted to touch something again on the the changes that would have gone into place had I been playing with the so-called game balancing changes. The battering ram, for example, well, what would the effect, if that hadn't been there, have been? Well, Alfonso would have to know he needed it, which is a disadvantage, or really wanted it, which is a disadvantage to newer players, right? And taking a levy action to get that. That levy action could have replaced the levy action that got me the useless Sancho. So, I'm looking at it as I'm still learning the game, and the crux of the activity is on the Christians right now. So if things are unbalanced in favor of the Christians, I actually think for a first game it might be fair to play with that unbalance in play. Because you'll make mistakes like pulling Sancho and not thinking you need a battering ram, thinking lords are more useful. All right. Story so far, just since I've gotten into doing that at the beginning of each thing. For the Muslims, Almoravid was unable to raise any other lords or do much of anything. All he did was collected taxes, and now he has a pile of coin. For the Christians, Alfonso moved down and took Toledo on the first turn, which is pretty impressive. And that's about it. So, now in the levy phase, and I've got that marked correctly, I'm going to be careful. Sancho, he won't lose him. This guy will, flip over and become not available for muster this turn. Which might be fine. It might be better off holding the coin, although, again, eventually I'm going to have to spend it to keep Sancho in the game if I want to keep the coin in the game. The Taifa Lords have a different play. And this is a little harder to explain. So, hey, Sancho's here. He's got some coin. He decides to end the campaign. The coin just disappears. He'll come back with his one coin or whatever, right? For the Taifa Lords, whatever money they have, they can deposit in here, and it's available later on in play. So they don't even have to come back or whatever. That's a little harder to explain because it's not like there's some centralized agreement between the Muslims and that they're, cooperating to that extent. And it feels a little gamey to me to allow for that. However, since the Christians get to kind of decide where the campaign goes early in the game, it may be a necessity. All right. What we start with is with the Arts of War. First, the Christians are going to draw 2 cards. And now we're looking at them based on the event side. This is a hold, can play upon a march to an enemy stronghold where no lord. Put 2 siege markers there and storm the walls. Storm with walls -1. That's very powerful. I don't mind that being a hold card at all. It kind of feels like it's a capability type thing, but it would be too powerful if you could just choose it, so it's kind of neat. And then the second one, De Vivar. Hold. Play as a Christian, call to arms if Rodrigo is on the map. Reconcile him with just 1 victory point to the typhus box. That's a nice option as well. Question is, Almoravid had no money. Had he had money at the beginning of the scenario, he could have mustered Rodrigo, and then there would be actually a reasonable force for the Muslims, no matter what, guaranteed to be able to intervene. Now, it wouldn't be enough to fight the entire Christian force. So, what its value is more questionable. But it would give the Muslims something to do on the first turn, which they had the first time I played. Now we go to the Muslim cards. Arid terrain, hold, may play as Christians march. They immediately feed 2 marching lords. This, again, I'm not sure I really mind this. It could indicate capabilities in terms of raiding and what ahead of place. So, yeah, I'm okay with it, even though it's not named as that. Severed heads, another hold, play as ravaging to shift 1 Taifa Lord's cylinder or service 2 boxes. And that's in either direction. Or service 2 boxes. I guess. Or add 2 jihad, or play if the Christians retreat or sacked. Or play if Christians retreat or sacked for 2 lords or 4 jihad. I think sometimes the wording of these is a little weird. So like, for 2 lords, what does that mean? Do I get 2 lords? No. What it means is instead of shifting 1 Taifa Lord, it's 2. Or instead of 2 jihad, it's 4. You sometimes have to read these with more context in mind than I like, but that's okay. I've run into this a number of times. Pay. Christians and Muslims can pay their lords in the field. I have coin. If there was any reason that Alfonso's force needed to be paid, I could do so. I don't feel like there's a necessity, although there might be a desire to move all these up, because were I to lose a battle or something, that would be obnoxious. But I don't have loot. If I had loot in hand, I would almost certainly pay someone, because loot's a pain in the ass. And then, although it can count as food, but for Sancho, I've got the choice. And my feeling is, honestly, I don't think I want to pay. I don't think I want to pay. These troops are good, but they're not doing it for me. And then over on the Muslim side, Almoravid, no reason to pay at this point. Christians and Muslims and vassals may end service. I'm at service limit, which means this guy is going to disband. Now that's important. I have to remove a knight and a man-at-arms, because he's coming off the map. Let's see where he goes. I don't know if it's going to be here. Place the Lord similar number of spaces to the right equal to his service, even if besieged. Take the vassal forces off the map. Return disbanded vassals to their large map. Coat of arms down. I don't know if that's always the case. Let's look at the optional rule. Sorry. I really should be going shopping today. Like, I should have been going shopping the last few days. Something just keeps getting in the way. I don't know. I may still, but... Permanently remove any beyond their service limit. Put those that are at service onto their lord's map. Pennant side unready. Yeah, so it's the same effect. Basically, I just can't remuster him this levy phase. Fair enough. Go over here. Not going to do... Not got any disband. But we look further. Muster. Where there was something... If independent Taifa Lord adjust Taifa to Parias. Yeah, so if he were to leave, it's game over, man. If you have no Taifa Lords in your control, I mean, you got this. But yeah, so you've got to keep someone on the board. That's the danger of only having one there. But, I've got the capability to avoid that. We go to the muster. And here, I do the Christians first and figure out what they need. I'm going to need to think a little bit to figure that out. Kind of the big thing that I'm looking at is that, and I have this to take advantage of, so if I want to clear some jihad out of my way, is what my goals are in the short term, whatever. Now, taking a taifa is always of value, but there isn't anything that's actually opposed to me except Seville. And Seville is going to be kind of hard to cope with. If I wanted to attack Seville, one thing I can do is I can take the cathedrals from here and set up a cathedral in Toledo. Now I have a supply source a little closer, but only for Alfonso. Now, I have enough forces compared to Almoravid that it would be possible to split them, but there isn't two places that I can go. I could raid stuff. That would be a plausible option, you know, especially for somebody like Sancho. So I'm kind of thinking along those lines. I have no more lords that I have to roll for. I've got all my lords on the map. Do I really need a lot of troops? I don't know. Having to travel laden over two of these sucks. This one's only one. And that would put me closer to Murcia, which isn't necessarily advantageous. 1, 2, 3, that would be easy to get to. And the other one would be huge, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I might actually be able to pull 2 supply per. Just trying to figure out what the fuck I can do. Because pushing things down as far as Seville is not easy. But I've got no one else who's an actual enemy. Let's take a look at the rules of raid. Ravaging. Ravaging's at an enemy locale. That I can't do against the typhus either. So, again, Sancho can't do that. So I feel like what I'm doing is I'm going to be heading this whole force down and trying to fight Seville, unless the Muslims do something exciting. What do I want for that? I don't know. Still pretty damn early in the year. What happens here? Ravage markers get reduced. Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm going to remove these. Pretty sure I'm going in that direction. So that's a full victory point off the Muslims. And then I think what I'm going to be doing is figuring out capabilities that I might want, which I'll look through the deck, and then how much additional transport I can get. Now, with all these carts that I already have, mules aren't going to help me. That's the thing. You either want all mules or all carts. It doesn't make sense to have both. Except for the wastage issue, right? Where one of each makes sense, but I'm still working through this. But I know I need the cathedrals, right, for my supply, but there's a problem with that. When I play this for its activity, for its action, the Muslims can drop a jihad here and again block my path. I'm leaning towards this Garcia Jimenez, who can be played on only these lords, not Sancho. The lord is able to storm, if he's the guy being active, I guess. for 2 extra rounds, which might be enough. Remember, I also have that surprise thing, so I could use the surprise to take this. The 2 extra rounds would allow me to get into Cordoba, perhaps, and put me in a stronger position. There are cards that interest me. Each levy remove up to 1 jihad from a locale where no lord is. This is freer than this one, which can only happen in a Reconquista area. However, it would solve my problem. I could clear this without having to siege it, which is another opportunity. Clear it from the jihad that would be placed by this. Another one that's interesting as an option is the Sadalides, where the Lord can bypass without stopping and ignore Swollen River. Problem with that is, one, I'd have to leave a Lord sitting here for the bypass. Well, no, I could just leave, but then I couldn't trace supplies through here. But the other is that this would be not on Alfonso. Alfonso can only have 2. He has the battering ram, he's going to have the cathedrals. So he can't be my moving force there, which means I'd have to rearrange all kinds of things. I could make a different marshal, stuff like that, move Alfonso out. But then I don't have Alfonso up there, and I kind of need him. So I think this one's pretty iffy. So I'm looking at kind of these 3, and now I'm not unhappy with the forces I have available. Although it might be worth getting this for Alvar to get him a little bit more troops. Zeros or something here. Because what I want to do is I want to put a 2 here to indicate I have 2, right? While I take the cathedrals. I'm going to put a 1 to indicate that I expended 1. That doesn't make me as happy. I'm playing the cathedrals. I get a cathedral, which is one of these, and I put it here in Toledo. That gives me 1 victory point. The Muslims immediately get a jihad, which we're going to place here. Sure, I don't know for sure what they're going to do, but that's screening me and seems like a good idea. And that's changed the allegiance of that space, right? So that's that. Then I'm going to play off who is the question. This can only be Alfonso. Okay. So I'm going to play this Davides. That puts me to 2 used, and I'm not thrilled about this. And then I can remove a jihad from a locale where there's no lord on either side. I take this one out because that's important to my plans. I have 1 more with Alfonso. I'm not going to levy troops. I'm going to grab me a cart, I believe. Can't take provender yet. That happens during the campaign itself. I am going to take this for its sergeant and its man-at-arms as one of mine. I still haven't... Oh, I've played all 3 of his. Okay, and that'll be 1 turn in advance. Put that up here. I'll forget about him. And my second one, I'll take another cart because I'm at 6 people. So I'm still at feed 1. Let's make sure. 2, 4, 6, 7, yeah. Stupid mule. Damn him. Yeah, we'll eat him soon. Let's move down to Garcia. I'm going to give Garcia this. It's probably not optimal, but whatever. And I'll give him another cart, because carts are what I need, I think. Pedro, 2, 4, 6, 8. I already have all these troops. I'm not thrilled with building more troops. Then why are you doing it? Why not build 2 carts? I have these javelins, though. That gives my unarmored units... why does he have this? It doesn't make a difference. Okay, I'll put these down and charge that for 1. Aligning them like that. And he will take another cart. I think I've done everyone except Sancho. What is Sancho going to do? Oh, Sancho, Sancho. You're so useless. I guess I'll muster this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What else do I do? I don't know. I'll look for a capability for Sancho, but I'm not really thrilled with that. My final card for Sancho is going to be the Cabalgadas. This lord may pay 1 provision to use an entire card to ravage across up to 2 ways not at or past an enemy on besieged lord. I don't think I really need it. Sancho shouldn't be in the game as far as I'm concerned right now. I shouldn't have brought him in. It was a mistake, but the other alternative would be to put something to prevent ravaging from happening. Now we go to the Muslims. And poor Almoravid here is sitting without any forces. I got to figure out who I want to route. I'm sorry, I'm low on sleep as well. That's part of why I don't want to go shopping. Is I can't shit and I'm very tired. First choice is to try to get Al-Muqtawaqti, who's close to this and maybe can do some pillaging there. Another option would be to come in here at Zaragoza. That's even... I don't know. How's he? He's more likely. Let's go for him. Equally useless. So I need a 4. I don't get it. I'll take another shot at it. I don't get it. I've used both my actions for Almoravid. This is so different from the last time I played. Next one down. It's Call to Arms. Christians. There's no green Rodrigo on the map. I can't muster him. Udis isn't available until the invasion. Okay, so we go to the Muslims. I could bring Rodrigo in. Let's look at this rule. I wish there were... I guess it's not that necessary. Oh, there are. This is section 3.5, this entire thing, which is quite large. But let's take a look at what happens if we call to arms to bring Rodrigo. So we've got him there, we've got the cash. Do we want him? That's a good question. I can pay 3 coins from the typhus box or any unbesieged lords. I have that. To place him at a Muslim-friendly stronghold that's free of siege and automatically muster Rodrigo there. Boop, 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 boop. Where's the green? Is it on the other side? Yeah. Okay. The only lord I can place him at is here. I spend my 3 coin. And Rodrigo musters. When do I get to make lieutenants? During the campaign, right? Yeah. During the campaign. Good. All right. So, by mustering him there, I get his thing. Hold on. He has quite a large force, but he only comes in with one cart. He does not get to muster. Note the order here. Muster happens before call to arms. He's been called to arms in. He comes in with all his troops and everything, but without a capacity to really sustain a campaign on his own. Now, it's important he gets summoned. Where specifically? At a Muslim-friendly stronghold that's free of siege. This is the most useful. I could have conceivably bought him somewhere like up here, but with his inability to gather food and whatnot, I'm basically going to use him as a defensive civil and use Almoravid's transport capacity to help me operate. It's a lot of troops is basically what I'm adding, which is fine because I wasn't able to get my vassals because I rolled for the other guy. That's the end of the call to arms. That's going to put us to the campaign. I'll move this back here, and I got a break. I'm really fatigued. And tomorrow I'm probably, like, between raid and everything else, I don't know how much play I'm going to get in the near future. Something weird that I wanted to point out, it's kind of bothered me all along, was this sort of, and I brought it up in the intro as well, this cascading mustering. Someone pointed out on a video, you can't do that. And I'm like, well, I couldn't find the rule that disallowed it. I found it. But yeah, Sancho did a muster for whatever good it did for him on the first turn. No one else did. Rodrigo didn't get a chance here because that's call to arms. The rule that I found that does it is this. Important. Yeah, it says important. You should know it. But yeah, I mean, my eyes were drawn to it. A lord must begin this muster segment at a friendly locale with no siege there to take actions now. I think that's what it is. And there's an example which specifies a lord mustered onto the map by another lord may not use his lordship during the same segment. So that's the rule that controls it. But again, you know, I'm like, yeah, he began, you know. There was, I don't know. You put these in these little boxes, and it makes it easier when I'm going to look for it because, and in fact, a lot of the errata is, or a lot of things in the rules inform you, hey, go to 3.4 important or 3.4, you know, whatever this is. I've got no idea what the number is. Let's see. Is it 342? Is it 341 important 2? I don't know. You know, but because as far as I see, 3.41 goes down. I'm scanning. Wait, there's 3. Here's 3.42. It's almost unnoticeable, right? Because they completely like, it's like lighter text than this, you know. But yeah, if I see an example, if it's written, you know, in a different format that kind of fades away like that, it doesn't sink in. I don't read it or whatever, and I don't know, you know. It's one of the problems with more modern rule sets for me is lots of color, lots of all kind of crap to distract me and everything. And what it ends up being is I see something in italics and I don't read it. You know, especially if it's gray on gray like this. But honestly, you put things in these boxes and everything, and you think you're calling it out, but for some minds, it just doesn't work. Anyhow, I was very disturbed by that because I had kind of remembered in Nevsky you couldn't do that, I think. But when I read through the rules, and I looked specifically for this before, thinking, yeah, there's got to be something. You can't just muster... Because the way my Muslim turn worked in the first game, man, this significantly changed things. Almoravid mustered a couple of people. They each mustered people. So I had a whole bunch of lords in play at the same time. Anyway, back to Raid. I don't know how much I'm going to get to play here in the near future. I did not go shopping. I made burritos, which I love burritos. I don't cook them until I run out of like the stuff that I can do that only takes, I don't know, it's not like they take long. It's just somehow they're more effort. Christians, I'm in an interesting position. Again, I have to accumulate my supplies, right? Alfonso, because he has so many guys around him, has, I think, 12 transport capability. This is free, transporting from here, because that's where I am. 1, 2, 3, this isn't good, is it? I thought I had better than that. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Didn't see that, or I didn't pay attention. 4, 5 to Burgos, and 6 to Leon. 5 and 6 is 11. That's less than 12, so I can hit those two. So with each Alfonso command action, I can get 3 provender. That's incredibly powerful. Everyone else is probably going to only be able to get 1. Alvar's not that, I'm sorry, not Alvar. Pedro's not all that far, and he gets to use that big transport capacity as well, so he can probably get 2 per. 1, 2, 3. Well, let's look at some of the others. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Easily Alvar can get his. Yeah, everybody can get 2 other than Alfonso. So I'm probably going to program it out using other lords as well, because I don't want to be stuck just using Alfonso's cards, because he's the only one who can move this stack. With 12, it means I can only carry 12. So, you know, an Alfonso card will get me 12. Oh, that's an interesting proposition there. Of course, Alfonso is able to supply back from here. And say I'm sieging Cordoba or something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He'd be able to pull 2 per on those. So I probably still want to hold off on him and use him for movement and siege actions, especially since he has the battering rams. I don't know. It's just there's so many things to consider and, you know, sort of balance in together. Which is it better just to be laden? I'm going to be going over 2 of these to get here. So it might be a good idea, instead of carrying 12 provender with me, carry the 24. That is the maximum that I can haul with this configuration. And I think that actually makes sense, because 1 Alfonso card will get me all the way down to Cordoba. Might not be the best choice. No, it won't. It'll get me to here. And then I can raid with anybody. So it would cost me 2, 4 to get down to here. I can raid with anyone. I could get more provender. And then I can move into here. Now that would cost me 2. It would cost me 1 to encamp if I chose to not siege, in which case I could raid. What I don't know, the raid isn't gonna. What's the raid gonna get me? I hate having. This is, you know, you may start getting used to it and whatever, and I kind of did, but I far prefer games where you don't have to do this level of calculation to determine exactly what you need to do. Like, it's all predetermined if I figure it out. Now, obviously, the enemy could do something about it. But let's see. I can't even remember what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Ravage. So I would add 1 loot plus if a stronghold 1 provender. If I time things right, the loot, well, no matter what, if I'm moving laden, I might as well have loot with me and haul it around. So it doesn't make much difference. But the loot is extra food, and then the stronghold will give me provender, which will also be useful, along with victory points. Although maybe I don't want to ravage this, right? Explain my plans again, now that I've figured them out. This is the card lay I'm going to do. Alvar is going to forage. Pedro is going to forage. Alfonso brings that up to a 24. The next Alfonso card moves me down to here. I feed. I don't get to ravage. I need to do an Alfonso card next to move, unless all I wanted to do was ravage. So I play another Alfonso. I could ravage, move, that gets me to 3, and then I don't get... I would be throwing 1 away if I siege, whether I'm bypassing or not, but okay. So where am I? Feed, 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 or collect food. Move, start siege. I could continue the siege with him. I'm leaving Alfonso for the last because I get the reroll, but do I really want the reroll? I don't know, because he might just drop a siege thing in play. Well, we'll see. I really hate figuring everything out. Games like Robo Rally, when I heard about them, which had like programming with cards for your movement and everything, I was just like, oh God, I'm going to hate this. And I never even tried it because of that. All right. Now I'm on to the Muslims. Now, again, wording weirdness. Play as ravaging to shift 1 Typha Lord cylinder or service two boxes or blah, blah, blah. Now, I've figured out all the consequences, but what I wasn't seeing, I thought you play it as a ravaging of some sort. No, it's play while ravaging. Unfortunately, English and most language, honestly, have multiple meanings or ways of interpreting things. So yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to be ravaging and do that. But then there's this additional, or play if Christians retreat or sacked, which is possible. Anyway. So now I understand it, but the clauses are weird and it's hard. Rodrigo only has 3 cards, the same as Almoravid, which means I'll be putting 1 pass in play. What the hell am I going to do? I'm not going to be attacked right away. How do I feel about my army versus theirs? Well, if they bring the whole thing, I can't cope, right? I really can't. So what I think I do in that case is maybe I move up in this direction, because I really don't have the forces to stop the entire Christian army. And that's, of course, what's actually going to happen. But so, what are my choices? Well, I'm going to have some time, so I'm going to open up with a pass, see what happens a little bit better. Almoravid will be at his seat. He can collect silver or coinage. Now that I'm out of coinage, that seems like a good idea. But maybe I need provender. I'll alternate Rodrigo in there. Again, collect up provender, collect that up. I think I'm going to make Rodrigo a lieutenant. That means I can't just get rid of Almoravid, but it does allow them to operate together, and Rodrigo is kind of useless with just a single cart. So that's going to be a gather of some sort, another gather. I'll alternate. Not sure what's gonna... Shit. Now, if I make him a lieutenant, I don't get any Almoravid cards. Fuck. Oh, I don't get to play any of them. So, what I may be better off doing is moving up and hitting both of these. See, the thing is, half the Christian army comes down, and I want my troops together, and I'm going to challenge them. The whole thing comes down, I can't. I'm going to roll a die. I'm trying to decide whether I just want 50-50 or 1/3. I probably can't face him anyway. All right, 1 or 2, I end up creating a lieutenant. I do not, so I'm going to leave them like this. I'm going to still go with the same ordering, because what it allows me to do is kind of work them, side by side on their way up, and might allow some additional defensive advantage. And that's going to put us at the command phase. I'm going to stop there. Raid is eating up everything right now, but I was too hyper to just take a nap, so I came down here to play this. My playing times become more sporadic, mainly because of Raid, but I did go shopping today, and that wiped me out completely. I had to take a nap and whatnot, but right now I have a few hours, but I'm probably not going to play for a few hours. I don't tend to do that straight. We're in the command section, and we start with the first Christian command, and I hope I can remember what I'm doing. This is one problem with these kind of games. They're not meant to be played over several days, right? This is meant to be played in a sitting or two. And, however, I just don't tend to do that. Now, my plan was to charge up food. So let's take a look at what Fanyas has, because there's not a hell of a lot else I can do with him, but he's got a huge number of points. He is able to only get 1 point of supply from there. So I'm going to grab 4 provender. That makes him laden, but I could spread it out amongst the force. Go to the Muslims. Get a quick pass. Pedro, again, was planning on getting food. Pedro only has 1. He only gets 2 commands, so all he gets is 2 provender. We'll see if I was wise. Go back here. Are we going to see another pass? No. We have Almoravid. With forces gathering up, I think I'm going to do attacks and grab a coin. Am I thinking? Not particularly. I do kind of remember what I was planning as I pull these, so it's not that bad. Alfonso plan was to get food again. Now, Alfonso can take 3 food per. I've got 4 actions, so I'm going to grab myself 12 provender. Now, I can't carry 12 on his own, but I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 total stuff. And so I'm not even filled out singly, and I seem to remember my plan was to fill out double. See how that all works. I don't know if... We get a Rodrigo. Rodrigo is at his seat as well. He could take a coin by taxing. That would seem a little odd. I'm going to peek at what the rest of my cards are. See, the problem with Rodrigo taking a coin is I can't put it into here. So I'm going to use that to grab I can only carry 2 provender, and I did not make him a lieutenant. I did not make him a lieutenant, which was kind of stupid. Let's take a coin. I'll be moving soon enough, but anyway. Might end up blundering, might not have made my plans clear. I've got another Alfonso. I can grab another 12 food. That doesn't work. Did I want to grab a coin with Alfonso? Not particularly, I don't think. I don't know. I don't fucking know what I planned. You know, I planned everything out, but I can't remember. And that's one of the problems with too much memory. But I don't have as many points as I expected. And who was the guy who had 2? Somebody else had 2, didn't they? I guess not. So right now I'm at 12, 16, 17, 18. What the fuck am I doing? I've got one more Alvar, but it's quite a ways down. I think I'm supposed to be somewhere by then. I guess I have to move. Am I laden? 12, 16, 17, 18. I have 12 of these, so I am indeed laden. I don't know what I'm doing. So that takes 2, 4, gets me to there. I get a moved feed marker, but I can feed here. So I need 2. I need 2. He's already eaten. I need 2. 4. I feel like I'm completely blundering. Like, I had this entire plan in my head. And I know the vague motions around it. I'm not saying, even if I was playing this immediately after, I'm not saying I would have gotten it right. You know, there's a good chance I fucked up here, and now that I'm flipping the cards, it doesn't make sense. Almoravid has no food, needs to grab some. Must have food. He can only carry 4. However, I can only grab 3 here. I guess I'll grab 3. No, I'll grab 2. I guess. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. And then I have 1 point for movement. I'll move him up there. That means he has to eat. Fucking hell. Fine. Whatever. Whatever. Yeah. The level of planning in this game is too much for me. It really is. I was able to play it solo because I played through the entire turns, and but now that I'm coming back to it, yeah, I can't handle it. And, you know, it's Alfonso's turn again. Well, how is my food? What do I need? I would like to get to Cordoba. And I'd like to get there real soon. It'll take me 2 movement points to get there. I can trace supply twice. Or I could ravage this. Alright. We're going to do a ravage. Ravage. We get a loot. Loot is useful. We put a ravage marker down. That gets us a half victory point. I don't think there was an auto victory for going off the victory point map. That was 1. Second one, I'm going to trace supply. Now, how much transport do I have? I have 12, because I can share it all. 1, 2, 3, that means 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I can pull 2 provender off that. Then I do a move with my remaining 2 actions, pulling me into here. Having 4 commands is really useful. I'm move fight again though. So we look. 2, 4, 2, 4, 5, 6. I go to here. Now in moving there, what I should have done was placed a siege marker as well. Okay. Can I harass this supply line in some way? Maybe. It's going to be tough. We draw Rodrigo. Rodrigo has no food. I'm going to gather food twice. That makes me laden. Do I want to do it twice? I don't know. I'm going to gather food once. Yeah, I should have made him a lieutenant. Then I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, and I eat that food. Okay. I get an Alvarez. This is not optimal. I could have done an Alfonso, and then I would have had more of a chance of succeeding at getting a siege marker in play. Alvarez, if he wanted to do a storm, that I believe just ends the card. Siege uses the entire card. But I don't have a lot of things, so I am going to drop a siege. But here's the thing. I don't have to include everyone in the location in this. If I did a storm, I would have to include everyone. But I don't have to here. So I get, well, first thing I get is I get 3 dice. This isn't ravaged. On a 1, it succeeds. They all have to be 1s. The chances of this are just about nothing, but came damn close if I had the battering ram. Okay, now this is placed, and now I get a move fight, but just for Alvar. Call him Alvarez. We get an Almoravid. We are going to gather provender twice, because I can't figure out what the fuck I'm doing. Right? I don't know that I had a goal, to tell you the truth. That gets me up to full provender. Then I'm going to move 1 more. I'll move up to Merida. It's not friendly, but that's okay because I'm still in range. Rodrigo is not, but Rodrigo's in a friendly location. And now I have to eat the provender. And I'm only at feed 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. I was worried I might not have marked it when I was supposed to. Now we hit the last one, and this is an Alfonso. Now I have a couple of choices. I could grab some supplies and storm the castle. But I have the battering ram with Alfonso. How much food do I need? How much do I have? This is the problem. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. I only have 5. I have 1 mule, which, if I throw that out, I would go down to just 1 food short. But I actually can't because all the food is on him. Problem. If I take the castle, and the chances of that are almost none, right? It's 3 dice, 1s or 2s. Yes, I have a reroll, but, and I don't know. Maybe I wanted these. Maybe they wanted to play the ones that screw things. May play upon a march on an enemy stronghold where no longer. Yeah. So I could have used that, but I didn't. And he had ones that would delay movement, but I didn't. Because, you know, I I'm not sure what I was planning. I don't recall having pre-planned that. Okay, well, I guess we're going to see a fight. So what I want to do is I want to gather food, because Storm does not take the entire card. So gathering food with Alfonso, if you recall, I get 2 food per. If I do it 3 times, I get 6 food. And now I launch an attack. Now there are counters for all of this. Like there's a battle counter, a storm counter. And might as well use them, I guess. And now we have to look at the rules, because setting all this up is a little bit complicated. And it's been a little while since I did one of these. Not too long, but 3 days or whatever. Okay, so this is not that. Where are we? Storm is here. Follow the battle rules, except each side's front row begins with at most one lord. It has to be the attacker. In this case, that's Alfonso. So we put him in the front center. We look up the garrison for a city, which is going to be 3 gray, armed with crossbows, and 3 brown, armed with normal bows. The other lords are here in the reserve. This can only go 2 rounds, because that's the only amount of siege I have, unless I had something like this. I don't know. Yeah, I really should have played this. Okay. Because then I would get to start with Alvar, which was what I was planning, I think. It still isn't great, right? It's not far from what I've got. Okay. So, special rules here. Besieged units use the walls. That's going to be a 4-point wall. The besieging, and why does the battering ram help surrender but not help assault? Seems a little... That's a thematic error, I think, because it's just the name of the card that's wrong. As opposed to something where there's an actual simulative thing. It's just the name is not applicable to what... A battering ram doesn't make you surrender more quickly. Like, you have to storm for the battering ram to be useful. At least start a storm. So the besieged side uses, if it were meaning what it means, the besieged side uses the stronghold's wall. The besieging uses the siege works. I have a 2-point siege works in my favor. The attacking side must absorb hits with armored units. Each lord adds no more than 6 hits in melee. Javelins and slingers are a half, not 1 in storm. The garrison have bows. Yeah, I think we know it all. I don't know for sure. Okay, so we do an archery round first, and the garrison has, let's use little number counters, 1, 2, 3 missile shots. So we've got 3 hits, 2 of which I get to pick as the Muslims. So I'm going to pick against that guy. Now what we have to do, and I know these numbers, but what we have to do is look at the sergeants. They have an armor of 1 through 3. So here's what I'm going to do. I roll 2 dice. The yellow die is the walls. That's a 1 or a 2. The green die will be his intrinsic defense of 1 through 3. Neither one succeeded, so this is now a routed unit, and we'll deal with that later. Okay? That's one of those 3 shots. The second one, I have to go for armored. That's all I'm allowed to do. I want to pick on his weaker things, so his infantry for that matter, because they get, well, the knights are not as good on attack as they would be normally. So I do the same thing again, and what did I say? The yellow die is the 1 through 2. Okay, so that one fails, and the third one, I again go for one of the armored men-at-arms. That one hits. Okay. He has no missiles coming back. Now we go to melee, which is lumped together, no cav bonus for that. And these get to go again first. And this table's a little small for this game, but we take a look. And we have a strength of 1 and 1/2. Even for siege, that's the missile thing there. Yeah, so 1 and 1/2. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. Remember, we're limited to 6. We have the same defensive rolls going with the man-at-arms. That's what we're going to aim at first, I guess. I don't know. Do we want to? I mean, who cares about the peasants, the serfs? Yeah. Okay. Both miss. Another man-at-arms goes down. We're going to pick on a knight now. I think something says we have to hit armored units. It's not just archery. Yeah. So the knight now has a better armor of 1 through 4. He defends against that. That was, I think, the second hit. I can't recall. Third hit. He defends against it. Fourth hit. Looks bad. A knight goes under. And now the 5th hit. The other knight goes under. Now Alfonso gets to attack back with a grand total of 1 serf. We use the green die for the walls. That's 1 through 4. It doesn't have to hit an armored unit. I am going to go for a militia. The green die missed. The yellow die missed. One of these militia is defeated. Now it's routed and it just goes away. This number goes away. That's the first round of combat. The second round, we follow normal combat rules for bringing somebody into play. Now we look for this. Retreat, withdrawal, with removal. Where the fuck is it? Reposition. Okay. Then in each round after the first, both sides reposition. Routed lords are removed. Slide reserve into an empty front position. If a front center position is empty, then you slide into it. Okay. So now I have to pick one of my lords. And you can see how well Alfonso did. Well, Pedro has a bigger force. I'm going to bring Pedro in. Okay. Now we do the same thing. The missile shots. 1, 2, 3. I put a number because when I'm on camera, my memory isn't good enough. Yellow, walls are 1 or 2. We have to hit Alfonso, so he actually does. He only gets 1 die because he's got that. This routes automatically. Serfs are not a good thing particularly, but you must take them, and when you generate additional carts, you get more serfs. So. Okay. So he is now routed, and we're going to put him somewhere to indicate that. We'll put him facing that way. Okay. But I have 2 more shots. Those go against Pedro. I'm going to go again after the men-at-arms. 1 or 2, and then 1 through 3. Saves. That one does not. So we get a rout there. These routed units, we'll take care of them in a bit. Okay. Now Pedro gets to shoot back, though, because he survived the round. So he gets javelins. Up to 4 of his unarmored units can have javelins. Now, javelins work different on castles than normally. They only have a 1/2 attack rating. And I only have 2 unarmored units. So I get a grand total of 1 firing back. If he had been included, I would have gotten more missile fire. So I've got 1 shot coming back. I'm going to go after, again, an unarmored unit. And that's 1 through 4 on the green die. I have defeated another one of these. Okay. Now we go to the ground combat, or the melee, which is going to be here. That's going to be 4 dice, because militia are halved. Going against Pedro, we will go against Pedro's... we're going to keep picking on his men-at-arms. Oh, I should probably do this to indicate that the javelins have been used. Probably should be on the card there. What about these ballistas? Is there anything for them? See, this is the thing. I'm not used to... No, because they're multi-use, so they don't have a mark. What did I roll anything? Was this successful? Was it not? Did I count anything? I don't know. I really don't know what I did. Like, I got lost in this. This is the problem with these complex rolling off all kind of crap in there. Again, mini battle type things I really hate. However, it makes sense here. I'm going to start over. What did I say I have? I said I have 4. Okay. We're rolling for Pedro. And I think I rolled a miss, but I don't recall. But I didn't set the number, so maybe I didn't. That's a hit on 1. I have to go for armored, so I'll go for the sergeants. Miss on 2. Hit on 3. Hit on 4. But Pedro gets to swing back. Now, normally knights would be worth 2 each, but in siege they're only worth 1. So I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the 2 of them. Five for the 2 of them. And this is not going at all well for the Christians. Green die is 1 through 4. I am going to go... It doesn't really make a damn bit of difference. It's almost over, and I'm hosed. I'll go for the unarmored. Again, it doesn't make a difference. 1 miss. 2 miss. I don't think I can win anymore. 3 miss. There's 2 more possible hits. They're not going to happen. The siege can only go 2 rounds because there's only 2 siege markers there. So these just go away. I wish I had stuck around so that I could go beat up on the now beaten up Christian lords. Let's see what happens. We have to roll for each of the forces. Now, they run away completely. They disappear on anything but a 1. So here's for 2 of Alfonso's knights. Gone. Here's for his 2 men-at-arms. He gets 1 back. And here's for his sergeant. Gone. Well, there goes Alfonso's army. say this much. We don't need that anymore. All right, let's look at Pedro because he took losses as well. Pedro has 2 sergeants. Gone. Normally you would roll against their armor value. With rolls like that, it doesn't really matter. And 2 men-at-arms. Gone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hey, we got rid of our feeding problem. But we still have to feed because we moved fought. That storm marker goes somewhere. So now I check my food. 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 1 here and 4 here. I have actually greatly improved my feeding issue. But I'm at the end of the 40-day campaign period. No one routed off the board, which the losing side rolls 1 for each of its retreated lords. We didn't retreat. Losing lords who withdraw into a stronghold do not shift their service. Yeah, that's not it either. The losing side... let's see. Where's stronghold? Is that... It's over here. Ending the storm. The storm ends unless the defenders are routed, the attackers lose. Losing attackers neither retreat nor give up spoils. If they survive, the locale is besieged. Mark all lords as moved fought, even if they stayed in reserve. I don't think... Then you proceed with the aftermath, which is not what I was looking at. Aftermath is over here. Yeah, I don't think anybody... Now, if Alfonso had lost another unit, he would be out of the game for the rest of the game. And there's the danger to what I did. Right? Should have just laid down siege, but he needed food, so I needed to storm the castle. It was either that or do nothing, right? Like, just collect food. Okay. Did I feed? I did my feeding. I'm all good. Alfonso's kind of fucked at this point. All he can do is supply. We're done. Except that Rodrigo gets to go. So what the hell does Rodrigo want to do? Well, he has no food. So he must collect food. But what does he want to do? And that's the big question. What does Rodrigo want to do? Okay. I have 1 cart. I'm going to collect 1 provender for him. I'm going to move 1, 2. I could siege it. That's my 3rd move. I could do an additional provender. No, I can't. Not there. And I can forage, however. Before I lay that siege down. No, I have to lay it down when I move in there. Okay, so I grabbed food here. Oh no, I can't go there. I can't go through there. All right, let's restart. I grabbed a food. That's 1. 2. I can't really effectively siege that with the size force I have. So we put a bypass. 2. Now if we look at the rules of bypass, never having done this before, place a bypass and continue actions on that command card without leaving the locale. Okay. I only have one cart, so I can't grab food from anywhere. However, I can forage, which is a 1 through 3. Ow, something, a little splinter went up there. A 1 through 3 on the forage roll. Yeah. I don't like these big dice. Okay, we succeed in getting another food. We have a moved fault marker on us. You know, if we need to remember, put that there on the card or something. But now I can't remember what I did. 1, 2, 3. If I had sieged it, I couldn't do this. And then 4, I am going to ravage the space. Huh. It's already ravaged. I'm not going to ravage the space. Fuck. I thought I could. Okay. Well, that means I couldn't grab food there. That means I'm not going to do this. Give me a fucking siege. I couldn't see the ravage because the big wooden counter was hiding it. I'll do that. I eat my food. I'm not happy. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I've got to get my Almoravid up there to be able to siege it because I can't trace supply with Rodrigo. I'm just fucked. That's okay. I'm fucked everywhere. Like, I remember having this problem with Nevsky too. Like, when I'm right in on it and playing the game consistently, I can kind of handle it. Like, my plans work and whatever, or at least to some extent. But walk away for just a little bit, like a day or two, and everything's lost. Okay. Now at the end of the end of the campaign, prepare for the next 40. It's not the game end. Growth. It is the end of 40 days of spring. We reduce enemy ravage markers to a half. I think the Christians do this first. Take this one away. I'm going to leave that one there because, hey, he's pissing around with it. That takes a half point away from them. And now take one of these away. And that takes a half point away from them. It's not harvest. Repairs. Each locale with 3 or more siege markers. See, this would have lost one if I had gone heavier. Now it's wastage. Let's look at what we got. He's going to have to give something up. 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 Okay. Let's start with Alfonso. We want to keep the battering ram. We want to keep the cathedrals. We're going to eat the mule. We have a lot less food available now. I'm keeping that loot. That may not be wise, but anyway, I'm going to eat the mule. Over here, the Balestros are too useful. I'm going to ditch a cart. We're losing a lot of supply capability. That's going to hurt. Over here, the javelins. I mean, I could throw away coin and whatnot, but I would rather get rid of the javelins. I'm just not that impressed with them. I don't think we're going to be in a big field battle. And this is an Arts of War card. Okay. Over here, Jimenez. Very useful. Storm going 2 extra rounds. If you think about what happened, I got screwed because I only got to fight 2 rounds of combat. But my carts are now at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What can I do with that? 1, 2, 3, and it's getting harder. 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. I'm not going to get... I'm not able to reach anyway. So I'm not going to be able to feed this army. Somebody got rid of a cart that they shouldn't have. Or something, didn't they? I don't know. I don't fucking know anymore. I got rid of the javelins here. I feel like I got rid of a cart here. No, I'm trying to decide on him. That's what I'm trying to do. I got rid of a cart here. Do I want to get rid of those ballestros? They would be really useful if I have to assault, and this is really useful if I have to assault. I am going to take my mule back. Give me back my mule. That puts me to 11. Let's see. Let's make sure. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And that also helps if somebody else needs to supply. Of course, it's not ravaged, so my chances of supply are better. But I have to get rid of something. I'm going to get rid of a provender, since he has provender on him. And then over here, I'm going to have to get rid of a coin, which I hate to do, because coin is so useful. But I do have a fair amount of coin in hand. Let's go over here. Rodrigo is just peachy, but Almoravid has to... Ah, shit. He has a +1 command. Can't remember that kind of shit. Oh well, he fucked up. Terrible. Well, if I'm not going to be able to use it, I might as well throw it away, right? No, I'm just going to get rid of a provender. Okay. But seriously, you know, if I'm not going to use the cards, I might as well not. Same problem with these here. Okay. I can discard Arts of War. I advance the campaign to levy, and we load this one up. And again, you can see when I'm playing it without the fucking camera in my hand, and when I'm playing it coming down and just playing, where it takes about half the time as explaining through it all, it's easier to come down, and it's easier to play. It's still a fucking nightmare of planning and plotting. And that's what I don't like about this system, is that, you know, I just have to work too fucking hard, and my brain doesn't hold all the information that I need to hold to accomplish the turn that I wanted to do. But start throwing in the addition of doing it on camera and having delays in between, and the game becomes really, really fucking annoying, right? It's hard for me to express. So my experience with this is going to look like shit, when the reality is I was kind of enjoying playing it solo before I had to pick up the fucking camera. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not going to load this up yet. I'm going to do another phase. Although that combat, playing that all out, that ate up a lot of time. But I figure, hey, maybe we'll end the next campaign on a good, on kind of a positive note instead of this, because this is just really fucking discouraging. The thing is, I have the same kind of problems when I play Euros, including the 18XX stuff even. Anything where, well, no, because I step away with the 18XX. But anything where there's a lot of interactive play, having to do it on camera fucks things up. But having to do it anyway fucks things up for me. But anyway. It's time for me to shuffle the decks, because I'm in the levy phase. I didn't put dice there, but yeah. The cool thing, I just got charged last week or so on another of the levying campaign games. But anyway. Let's draw for the I keep calling them the Brits. What the hell? Unless the Muslims discard camels, they immediately feed 2 of their lords, not at friendly gardens or seat. Okay. This is not a hold card. I like that. He's at a garden. He is not. So he's going to have to feed. I don't have to feed 2. I got a problem. Rodrigo has no food. All right, so what happens when you starve? And this is the thing. Even, this is not bad at all. I'm not complaining. But even if you do plan stuff, there's shit like this that can happen, and I love that. The problem I have is that the stuff that I should be able to plan and execute, I fail on. And that's no good. All right, let's look at feeding. I haven't done this yet. Shift the service marker of any lord that received less provender or loot than required above 1 box left. You still only take 1 penalty no matter what. So we look for the Rodrigo counter, and oops, I did not put it on the board. He was put on last turn, so that was here. So 1, 2, and now he shifts into this box. Hope I didn't fuck anything else up. Okay, yeah, I'm sure I did. And we draw another. And this is Illness of the Emir. On calendar, shift cylinder or service of Abu Bakr or Al-Mustain by 1 box. This levy, no muster of or by him. I gotta leave this up. That's gonna affect this particular levy. I can't. On calendar, shift cylinder or service of Abu Bakr or Al-Mustain. Which one? Doesn't really make a hell of a lot of difference because the cylinders are back here. Abu Bakr is probably, he's over here. He annoys me more. I'll push him, but it really doesn't make a damn bit of difference. They're below the current turn. All right, now we draw from here. Galician Revolt. Shift service of Ansuarez, that's Pedro, Ordonez Garcia, or Fanez Alvar by 1 box left. This levy, no muster of or by Alfonso. Ooh. Doesn't make a difference because I'm not at home, but okay, so who is this? This is one of these 3. I get to pick Pedro, Garcia, or Alvaro. Alvaro's potent and has some good stuff. I would like to do him. A little bit of silver though, and he'd be back in. Is one of them... One problem with playing with the vassals is you got to kind of paw through them to see if they have dice. Yeah, everybody's the same, so I'm going to shift Alvar. Now, if I don't pay him off, this guy just disappears, which is problematic. And I'll put this on top of Alfonso. Not that it actually matters, because he's not going to get to muster anyway. He's not in a friendly location. Swollen River is a hold card. Okay. Got to remember that I have hold cards and to pay attention to them. So, for example, if I had successfully ravaged, which I think I did, but I'm not sure. I think this was already ravaged, and now I'm sieging it. I would have been able to get some advantages out of that. Likewise, the Taifa marriage, but I don't have 2 Taifa lords, so I've been holding it for that. Arid terrain, this could have fucked with the Christian march in, but, you know, if they have to withdraw from this location, that might be even more powerful. And now the Swollen River. Okay. That's the Arts of War. Now it's time to pay. All right, Christians have a definite problem. I'm going to get rid of this. It is not going to affect anything. Christians have a definite problem here, which is, and I'm putting it face up, it doesn't really matter. Those need to get reshuffled every turn. I need to pay off Alvar. Loot is less useful than coin, but I can't pay him in loot until we're at a friendly location. So I pay him off with a coin, and that moves him forward one. And this is important because I don't want that guy disappearing. But now I've got a bunch of guys disappearing as well, and I gotta pay attention to this. So Pedro here has not taken much hit. I'm kind of willing to let Alfonso disappear. I don't think he dies from this guy going home. And with so few troops on my card, of course I have all the provender and all the coin. That's not good. Okay. So I paid Alvar. Let's pay some others. Let us pay Garcia. That's one. Sancho can't use his coin. Oh, I've got the loot too. God damn, I'm just hosed. Yeah, this expedition failed. We'll see, but it looks pretty bad. Now I gotta worry. Pedro, I need to pay Pedro. There's no question of that. Pedro markers. That's all my candy. I'm not able to pay the loot. I'm not able to do a damn thing there. Okay. We go over to the Muslims, and Rodrigo is a problem. Rodrigo will pay his own coin to keep himself in the field. These others, not my problem. I'm the Muslims. Okay. Now, we're going to go to the disband phase. Didn't have this happen, although I did have a lord removed from the game due to combat. All right. Is anyone beyond their service limit? The answer is no. At service limit, lords with service markers in the same 40-day box as the levy must disband, but may muster again in a later levy. Okay. Now that works for the vassal. That is these two. This one goes, he goes away, right? That's one of his things, is a man-at-arms. And Alfonso now has no troops, and I think leaves play, but we'll have to look that up. Now, I don't know what the hell happens if, like I could have paid Alfonso instead of someone else, and lost like Pedro or something. But and this guy is also disappearing. He's a sergeant and a militia. That's these go away. You can see my army is sort of melting. Now, whenever an independent... Okay, I got to look up what happens to Alfonso, because I believe he just disbands. Because he has no troops. Rarely a lord may disband per 3.3.2 because his last unit is removed outside of combat. Let's find that. We're on 3.3, 3.1, at service limit. Return his forces, and I'm guessing this is what they mean. Return his forces and assets to their pool, discard any cards on his mat, set aside his mat and service markers for possible future muster, Remove his seat markers, if any, from the map. There goes my cathedral. And it's fucked up because unless I create a new cathedral, that is no longer in play, right? Like, yes, I can reordain it, but somehow we've turned it back into a mosque or something. I don't know. It's just bothersome because it's like Alfonso can recreate the cathedral there and make that his seat, but it doesn't really count. And again, this may be a matter of misnomer, like they're trying to do something thematic as opposed to really tied to the subject matter, and you know, it just disturbs me when shit like that's happening, like linking a name. Usually Alfonso will not disband. So where does his disc go? I'm not seeing. I guess it's here, yeah. Place the Lord's cylinder, a number of 40-day boxes equal to the Lord's current service rating. Well, his service rating is a big old 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I am without Alfonso for all that time. I remove this. All his stuff, the provender, which isn't that big. Well, yeah, it is. That was the food we were going to use. The loot. And you know, this kind of thing did happen in medieval era, where, you know, an army would just sort of dissolve like this. The problem I have is I feel like such an incompetent for having allowed it. You know, I feel shitty. And then these two go away, and this goes away. Somehow I think the Christians aren't going to do as well as they're expected to do under these rules. Okay. And that is the only disband that's required. Which means we go to a muster for the Christians, and the only person who gets one is Sancho here. And there's no one I can muster. I can't muster Alfonso because he's way out here. This was disbanded last turn. It should have flipped over by now. Right? I think. I don't know what the hell to do with Sancho. He's not really very effective. I mean, he is kind of making it so that these two lords can't just march in and do shit. So he's serving some purpose. What could he levy? He can levy his troops. Is it worth it? I don't know. I kind of don't feel like it is. He could grab a card. I'll go look. Some archers. I could have done something like play bishops or something, but nobody can actually muster them, so until and unless I get this, it doesn't seem worth it, although it might be kind of neat to use one of Sancho's activation levies to put something down that other people would use. So if I took Cordoba, good stuff would happen. But I don't think I'm going to take Cordoba now, because I fucked up. One thing with part of why I fucked up was I did part of the command phase, the planning part, and didn't play it out immediately. Although, honestly, I think that my planning was flawed. Like, I think that I kind of followed my plan, and it didn't work. So, I would have done that no matter what. What about over here? Rodrigo is not at a friendly location. Almoravid is not at a friendly location. Neither one gets to muster. Problem with not staying in your own territory, yeah? Alright, so I'm fucking up on both sides. That's cool, right? Okay. Call to arms. There is a green Rodrigo. I can add a victory point to the typhus box and +1 because that's out there one further. However, oh, I didn't do this stuff. Each levy remove up to 2 jihads from a reconstruction taifa. Get rid of these two, although this would be useful. Yeah, let's get rid of these two. And that takes a point away from the Muslims. And then this other, I can remove a jihad where there's no lord from either side. That's this one. Okay. That's fine. And we're down there. Hey, Christians are winning. Give them that much. What am I doing? I don't know. Yeah. So I have no muster. Right. This can go away. I'm so lost here. Call to arms. If Green Rodrigo, I could pay a bunch of victory points to get rid of him. Oh, I was looking to see if I had. Yeah, I have de Vivar. I can play as a Christian call to arms if Rodrigo is on the map. Reconcile with Rodrigo for only 1 victory point. That turns him yellow. I think that's worth it. Here's the thing. I'm not really worried about what Rodrigo's doing, but I am worried that I don't have a commander of any quality on the board. So I'll do this. I'll give them a victory point. And this gets me 3.51. So we look for numbers. That's 3.4, so I'm in the wrong area there. Reconcile. If Rodrigo is on the map, or if disband or combat is permanently removed any Christian lord, not yet, add 1 green VP conquered marker to the taifa +1 per calendar box. Yeah, but I got it cheap. Disband Rodrigo. Set aside his green cylinder and seat and place his yellow cylinder onto the calendar 2 boxes ahead on the levy. So we'll get that. This comes off. Rodrigo disappears. And with that, we'll take him off. The siege also goes. Now, does it feel like a whole lot of nothing just happened? Yeah, we tried a campaign, it failed, and everything just melted away. Yep. Yep, it did. The Muslims' main task right now is to avoid losing Almoravid. Okay, that was this card. In the call to arms, okay. Let's look for other call to arms options. I don't think there are any. Pay 2 coin to muster Rodrigo, muster Eudes. Pay 3 coin to muster Rodrigo, he's not mine, and then stuff with Yusuf and Seer. None of which works, which means we look for the campaign. And we put that there. And I'm not going to make the mistake of doing all my planning, although I can tell you what's going to happen. Here, I'm going to try to figure out if I can launch another siege operation of any kind. Can I get food there? That's going to be really hard. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. Can't pick up from here. 4, 5, 6, 7. Pedro, who has a 2 lordship, can get me food. He's the only person who can do it. If I could also ravage, and I could get some food and some loot out of that. And then what? Good question. Good question. But I think I will be able to get one more shot at this. On the Muslim side of things, Almoravid, you know, he really ought to go home. I feel fairly safe at this point without... there's a lot less here now with Alfonso missing and some of those other troops winnowed away. So that, like, yeah, Cordoba might fall. But I'm not really terrified. Like, if I get back to Seville, I'm not really afraid of Seville falling. Unfortunately for me, Almoravid is only going to have his 3 cards, which isn't going to do a whole hell of a lot. Although, if I remember, they'll be 4 points each. Let's do the campaign. Okay, so I'm doing a bunch of Alvars to gather food, for the most part. Pedro, he is going to, I believe, drop another siege marker there. And then Garcia is going to try an assault, I think. These are my follow-up, whatever happens. So that's my plan. We'll see if it's good enough. Pedro can pull a decent amount of food in each turn. No, it's Alvar I need. God damn it. No, okay, I have Alvar at the beginning, yeah. Alvar can grab a decent amount of food that can allow me to do a couple of things. Muhammad probably can't take this thing on, although if they make an assault and fail, it's possible that he can clean up the mess. Which means, what can he do? Well, he's not terribly worried about Seville falling. Although if it did, it would be disastrous, because it would unmuster him, it would turn this into a parias, and basically there would be no Muslims on the board until here. Call to arms could bring them in. What does that mean? I don't know. I think what it means is I don't know. How much risk am I willing to take? Odds I take a risk. I'm not willing to take a risk, so I think I'm going to play a couple of cards, get him there as quickly as possible, and gather resources, and then then a bunch of passes, and then the last card. I'll show you. This is the setup I was talking about. And we're at 8 cards instead of 7 now, which is kind of, you know, funky. And then here, we lose carts and mules. So it's like, yeah, autumn becomes kind of problematic to maintain your campaign during the autumn. First of all, it goes down in cards. The number of cards is kind of an interesting thing because it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to do more. If you don't have a lot of lords, you're not going to be able to do more. It just means your lords are more likely to be active, right? Which is kind of weird because, yeah, they're mustered and everything, but they're just not very active. All right, that drops us to campaign. Alvar. Alvar, we calculated, could get a food for each of those. So he grabs himself 4 provender. And it's all his, man. Now, it takes me 4 to feed. So if I do anything exciting, I'm going to eat up 4. Almoravid, 1, 2. There's not a whole hell of a lot I can do beyond that. My command rating's 4. I'll grab 2 provender since I'm at my seat. I do only have 1, right? Seville and Cordoba. That's interesting. I didn't notice that. No, he has 2. Okay. I don't know what this means. Just means he's a typhus lord or whatever, I think. Okay. Go back here. We grab 4 more food. I'm going to tax. Why is my coin not going there? When does that happen? I would have liked to have put it there. I had the feeling it was here somewhere. Let me find where it is. Each coin spent. Fuck it. I'm not going to look it up. With him being the only lord in the game, I wouldn't have done. I wouldn't throw it in there, but I might want to. The thing is, he can't use the coin if he's besieged, if it's in here. So, since he's the only guy on the board, he'll be the guy who does it. Where are we? I've done 2 of each. So I come back here. It's another Alvar. Now, am I out of Alvars? Yeah, basically. So this is my last chance for food. I have to think about my cards. Pedro can get food too. Doesn't get as much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Pedro can grab food as well. Actually, I'm not sure Alvar can. Fucking hell. I used these Alvar cards thinking he was Pedro or something. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I was fine. Yeah. Did I get to 8 or 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, all of them can feed. That's pretty impressive. But if they weren't all gathered together, they wouldn't be able to. Of course, they wouldn't need as much food, but they wouldn't have any. So what's going to happen? I'm going to have a Pedro turn. I'm calculating out this Alvar turn, which is going to be a feeding turn. There's no question of that. Garcia is going to be the dude who launches the attack. That's important because he has this. Pedro, that means probably is going to put a siege marker down. I can only have 3 of them. That means Alvar wants to ravage. So I'm going to grab 3 provender to begin with. Then I perform a ravage. That gives them a half victory point. Except I did that wrong. That gives the Christians a half victory point. They're ravaging enemy territory. And they get a loot and a provender. So the provender goes here. We add the loot. And loot can be used as food. So that's cool. Can only be used as money if I'm in a friendly location. It might have to be a stronghold. I'm not sure. And we go back here. This is important because it increases the chances of a siege working on the next card. It's a pass. Pedro. Pedro is going to siege. Pedro looks for yellow dice. It's 3 dice for the space. I know, oh no, yeah, 3 dice for the space. It's a city. I need 3s. If they're all 3s or less, I win. I wasn't able to take over that battering ram or anything. Close. Too bad I didn't have the battering ram. These keep coming out okay. I get another siege marker. This is my maximum because that's the number of lords I have. I might want to do another siege. And now 1, 2, 3, 4 food I have to eat. I'll take it in provender, although loot is obnoxious. I'm really not worried about him attacking me. If I'm playing with hidden mats, I don't know what he has, but I know who he is. And he just doesn't have an army that can face this. And he knows that too. Now we go to Garcia. Now, I could keep rolling 3 dice for 4s, but I have 2 Garcias in a row, right? My army can't move together, so yeah, I might as well. We will do another siege, even though we don't get a marker there. 3 dice at 4s. No go. Nothing gets added. I do have to feed again. That's 4 food. I'm not going to eat the loot again. Go back over here. Something moving around out there. This is not my last Garcia card, but I'm out of food, basically. I have 2 food that I can get off of a Garcia card. Which, you know, I could do 2 more supply runs and 1 more draw. I might as well do the attack now, if that's the case. Especially since I have the other Garcia with me. I got a pair of Garcias. Alright. So that means we're going to fight the garrison. The whole thing shows up again, which is 3 men-at-arms and 3 militia. I would much rather the place have surrendered. There's no question about that. I get Garcia here. I'm going to put a moved fought there to remind me. I'll put the storm, because why not? Technically, I should be moving all of these off here into the reserve anyway. And I'll just keep this here. Okay. All right, missile fire. 1, 2, 3. We'll be careful enough to do that. We'll roll yellow first for the Christians. That'll cover, they've got a 3-point wall now. And I'm going to pick off a man-at-arms because they have missiles. That wasn't good. Second one. And third one. They're armored enough that they don't break. Plus they have the walls advantage. Okay, that gets me over to his missiles. He doesn't have any. We come back here. What does he have? I think it's 3, 4, 5 hits. Because militia are half strength. Yeah. 5 hits here. Oh. And we will go. Might as well go for soda. Might as well go for the basically the question is whether or not he's going to intervene. I might as well go for the man-at-arms because my chances are better against him. Save 2, 3, 4. That hits him. That would not have hit a knight. I got 1 more shot. I'll go after a sergeant. Okay. Now he gets to swing back. And he has 4. Light horse, I'm sure, is worth a half. Okay. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to swing back. So he's coming back with 5. And the Muslims, I don't have to hit the armored guys first, so I'm going to go for the unarmored. Because they're defending. but they do have a 4-point on the green die walls. So 1, 2, 3, 4, hit 1. 5. He saved. Doesn't happen often. Okay. That's the end of round 1. This is going to go 6 rounds if need be. Now, the important thing for me is to bring Alvar in because he's got these ballestros. Now, I believe the way flanking works is that I have to shoot the guy in front of me. But I'm not sure. I gotta find combat. Flanking, flanking. Whenever a lord has no front, he strikes the closest front. The center left total all hits from the flanking lords plus the directly opposed lord. Then round up. Flanking lord may absorb hits from a flanked lords at the owner's option. Okay, so I get the feeling that I could interpose these, but I don't have to. And if I don't have to, I'm not going to. Because I want, at least not on the missile round, right? All right, so we're here. It's 1, 2, 3. It's down to, no. It's 1, 2, yeah, I don't know. Are they a half? Yeah, they're half. It's 1, 2, 3. Still 3. 2 of them I get the choice. I actually didn't have the choice with all of them, so I might have thrown a knight in the way. Leave it be. Okay. Garcia. So this one and this one I get choice. This one I don't. And I can't do something like that, because that would be cheating, I think. I'll go for, wow. I can't go for this. Not that I particularly want to. He has no missiles. I'll go for a sergeant. 1, 2, and now he's going to throw a knight in. No hits. It's kind of nice that it's kind of futile, right? All right, now I get my missile shots from him. This is his men-at-arms and militia with missiles that are a half, but they get to select and -1 armor. So I'm going to go after one of these armored guys, but they're not -1 walls. There's things that reduce the walls. That is, I don't know, I'm hitting just once, and it doesn't do anything. Now we go back to melee. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I am going to let him hit, well, got another Garcia. If I don't take this, I don't have food. But I do get one more attack. I'm going to let him hit Alvar. I'm going to insist that he hits Alvar, my flanking lord. So what we said, it's 4 hits. It's got to go after armor first, and I'm going to put a knight in the way. I could swap Garcia in if I want later. 1, 2, 3. That's a hit. And this is painful because they disband on anything but a 1. Fuck. This is not good. I'm going to put Garcia in with a knight for the last shot. It's fine. Now I get to swing back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is how you do it, man. You got to get a big number up there. I'll put 2 4s in play. Okay. 8. I have no bonuses against armor with this, so I'm going to go for the unarmored guys. 1. Ow. Because this takes away the missiles. 2. 3. Okay. That would have killed an armored guy. 4 on an armored guy. He's only 1 to 3s. Oh no, the wall gets it. Yeah, I got it in the wrong order. That was 4. Let's get rid of the 4. We'll count again. 5. No. 6. 7. It's getting closer. 8. Wall breaks. Wall holds them. Okay. That was the entirety of the second round. Well as the entirety of my battery. All right. Now I'm going into the third round. I'm allowed to bring Pedro in. It's looking bad for the defenders, isn't it? All right. First I get missile fire. That's just one shot. Which lord do the Christians want hit? We want Pedro hit, and it's got to be his knights. Works fine. What is my missile fire? All I have for missile fire is these ballestros. That gives me one shot against an armored guy. Okay. Now coming back here, that's 2 shots. We're going to make him fight Pedro again. Now we get a big number. Our big number is 1, 2.5, 3, 4, 5, 6.5, 7.5, 8.5, 9.5, 10.5, 11.5. We get 12. Yeah. And it looks like we're going to win, which is huge. I wasn't expecting that. All right. 12, 4 walls, 3 defense. 1, 2, maybe not. 3, 4, 5. Killed 1. It's a big deal. I mean, 6. 7. It's a victory. All right. Well, that's massive. It's an obnoxious system in terms of the mechanical aspects, like all this die rolling and everything. But definitely has tension built in. I'll give it that much. I'm trying to figure out if, all that tension and everything is important because a battle is a huge thing and they don't happen very often. We've had a couple storms, right? But okay. So we've hit ending the storm. The defender's lost. It's sacked. Both sides take losses per battle. Okay. We don't have to worry about the garrison ever, but we do have to worry about Christian losses. So 2 dice for Garcia's troops. One of them dies. And 1 die for that knight on Alvar. he dies. Mark all lords has moved, fought. I already did that. It's fine. Permanently remove all losing lords and award spoils from them all. There aren't any lords that lost. The besiegers conquer the stronghold as per surrender, except their terms. Okay, let's follow. Remove all siege markers at the stronghold. Yeah, that's easy. It's like a cookbook. You got to follow every instruction. Place or remove conquered or jihad markers there per stronghold type and territory. All right, this is a 3-point city. So we get 3 of these and 1, 2, 3 victory points. If friendly territory, remove marker already there. If enemy territory, place jihad markers. If Muslims conquering a taifa, otherwise conquered. Ravaged land. It has a ravaged marker. We lose a half victory point, and they gain a half victory point. We needed that ravage to get the extra food, which we'll see in a bit. This is not going to affect the taifa status. We have to take both these cities as well to get a Reconquista here. Seville is the hardest thing to take, but there's nothing else that is, independent, so we had to. What the hell are these? Oh, I know what. Okay. That's the city where his seats are. Okay, now we go back to the sack. Award spoils from all allies. Yeah. We're looking for the other spoils. In addition, award spoils from the stronghold. The besieging player receive and distribute among their lords there the number of coin, loot, and provender shown on the stronghold table. It's a city. We got those. We get 2 coin. I'm going to give 1 to Garcia and 1 to Alvar. That gives him a little bit more flexibility. To loot. Well, Alvar has the loot right now. I'm going to give him all the loot. He'll distribute it. Don't worry. Not going to keep that there. We may have to eat some of it, but... and we get 4 provender, which, again, I'll give 2 and 2 there. And I put them in the slots that are the setup slots for no good reason. And that's it. Now we're at the aftermath of the battle. Now, in the aftermath, we have to feed. We owe 2, 3, 4 food. He has to eat 2 of his own. He has to eat 1 of his. He has to eat 1 of his. So you can see I could have allocated, the extra 1 here, but basically I couldn't allocate the extra food from those guys. This is now a friendly stronghold, so we can muster with that set and draw new forces into play and continue the campaign. And this is the big deal. This is why you conquer things, right? But we're not done yet. I don't know what to do. I've just succeeded. Oh, gosh. And if I don't stay here, bad things happen. Now, there's a garden, so I can forage just fine if that's what I want to do. Garcia needs to forage, so I'm going to grab 2 provender for him. Let's get this number out of there. You can see that was the 3rd round of combat. That was how many siege markers there were. He would have gotten 2 more had he wished. So a pair of Garcias is useful. We go back here. Go to the last card here. It's a Pedro card. Pedro does have food, but it's not a hell of a lot. I'm going to grab 2 provender. Yes, I'm going to have wastage, and some of the provender is going to go away because that's how it works. And then for the last card, we hit Almoravid, who is going to cry because he just lost one of his seats. What can I do about it? Not a hell of a lot. This was not a result I expected. I'm going to tax because that's the best thing that I can think of. And tax means I don't get that 4 commands. I have the feeling that this should be a 4. Maybe more. I have no idea. But I really don't know. So I'm not going to fuck around with it. Again, this card gives a bonus. I can't remember that. All right, let's look in the sequence of play and see what happens after we're out of cards in the campaign. It is not the last turn of summer, so we don't have to worry about harvest. Repair. Each locale with 3 or 4 siege markers removes 1. If I hadn't completed this, the walls would get repaired. It would be a harder job. I'd have to, keep working on it. Wastage, though, what do we want to throw away? In general, the answer is almost always provender, because it's fairly easy to get provender. I'm going to flip this over so I don't get confused next time, like I did this time. Wastage over here, again, take a provender. Take a provender. Probably means we have to, grab food again. Over here, he doesn't have a lot of options. I'll eat a mule, because coins are more valuable than mules. And then we come over here, and we'll eat a provender. Because, again, unless we have to move in a hurry, it just doesn't make sense to me. Then we can discard Arts of War cards. This is useful. I probably should. So this is useful for hitting little strongholds. Not so much for the big ones. The problem that I have is this force can't really move. Now there's a card I could give to, say, Alvar, which would make him able to be a marshal. Are there any of these I really need in my hand? I don't think so. So I'm going to hold on to them. And that will move the campaign up to levy. Put some dice there. And I'm going to load this one up. But yeah, this was again a major, conquering a city is a big deal. Now, Toledo is huge because it's the Taifa command, it is the Taifa to take that. One of the things, by not bringing these guys in, I'm not opening anything up. I certainly would have brought them in, but I'm not opening anything up for the Christians to take. All they can do is fight Almoravid. And if they succeed in defeating Almoravid and, say, knocking him out so that the game basically runs to here until anything happens, the whole Taifa, the whole pariah system remains, and it's happy. The Christians can't violate it, right? So it basically falls into a ceasefire, essentially. But we got a lot of people who are about ready to lose their service, and yes, I have a lot of treasure and whatnot that I can put into keeping them on the board. But something that I noted back in Nevsky, I remember, is somebody like Alvar here. Hey, he's kind of getting weak. Sure, I can bring more troops in, but as your forces start to weaken, you probably don't want to leave them on the board anymore. You want to send them home and let them regather and come back. Even though, you know, he's got a service of 4, he's going to be out here just like Alfonso is. Whereas some of nobody's got a low service. Sancho does. Great. All right, so up it goes. I'm feeling a lot better. Do I only feel better if I take something with the Christians? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, because I'm planning with them and whatnot. But this feels to me like I got lucky. Although, honestly, it was a pretty good chance of doing it with the Garcia there. It was a pretty good chance. So maybe I just got kind of unlucky with all. No, Alfonso was not set up to lead a siege, lead an assault. That's the whole thing. This guy is really good at leading an assault, and it's that simple, right? Let me just throw these up there so I know what I'm doing, and yeah.